the answer to that story right afterwards would have been different than the answer 3 or 4 years later, where now I'm one of the biggest collections. I have 34 to 40
pieces of art.
Pieces of art from the group of 7. There's a group of 7 or group of 8. I can't remember. Group of 7.
7, yeah.
And then I got a bunch of Emily Carrs. I have four Tom Thompsons now, by the way. So, but my answer now, from a mental health perspective, I know exactly why I bought that. But it's complicated, and it was one of those things I needed to do to distract me. It's one of those things that looks like it's fun, it's an investment, it isn't. It's called a shopping compulsion, except because I hate spending money, I spend more time on the investigation and the chasing and the acquisitions just a little bit, where some people can go shop, run home, take it back, get their money, shop, take it home, go back. That's all the same thing. Like, there's another way of me to keep my mind occupied. So I always found new projects and new collections. So I collected cars, I collected art. I had the biggest wine collection in Western Canada. So the Tom Thompson one, you know, how it was, but you got to remember, it's all tied to the mental health dysfunctions that I had. But I was in Vancouver, and paper came under the door, and I was in recovery, and I'm into spirituality and stuff. And this, for whatever reason, I opened it to a page, and there was a big ad for a Tom Thompson. And the way the ad was presented and whatever, it stuck out at me. And it was something different. And I'm trying to be open-minded. I said, oh, this is amazing. I'm in Vancouver, so I got to relax. I don't have to be running. I don't have to get my exercise in. We'll have a coffee. I'm going to read about this. And I did. I went downstairs, so I read about the thing, and then I Googled, you know, this group of 7. Then I Googled the artist, and then I'm finding myself intrigued with this, which is like, man, I get this tingly feeling, like an out-of-body ketamine experience. Okay, so it's like I can do that without the drugs. Okay, because I can disassociate. So I'm in a disassociated state. I'm reading and I'm tingling. It's cool. And I'm reading about this Tom Thompson. And he loved the Algonquin, and
on the canoeing.
Yeah, and he loved canoeing, and he loved fishing, and he's up in this part of the country where I used to go with my best friend, and we hitchhiked into all these places, and then it had like intrigue because he disappeared, because it sounded like he had an affair with somebody that had a cabin on that lake, and all of a sudden she was murdered and he disappeared and whatever. And I don't know, but I got like really into this guy's name and story. And anyway, that was that for that day or that weekend. And the next thing I do, I'm in Calgary for car racing, and all of a sudden, all over the radio and a big front page of the newspaper, big art show, Tom Thompson for sale. It's like this thing. It's now that day, and I didn't know it when I went to Calgary, and this is tied back to 2 months earlier reading the pre-marketing advertisement in Vancouver. So I go, oh, that's kind of interesting, but tough luck, I'm here racing cars. So off to Race City I went, and I'm racing around, and and all of a sudden either it rained or I blew an engine. It's one of the two, but it's 2 o'clock, and I go, oh, that art auction's probably on. I got lots of time left in the day. I gotta stay busy. I should find out. So I get on the fly. This Tom, is that? Oh, it's the last piece. Well, when's it going? Oh, you'll hold it until I get there? I didn't really realize that I had that kind of whatever clout, but they knew who I was, and I might have called them ahead of time, So I whip over, sweaty t-shirt, jeans, cowboy boots, whatever, coming off the racetrack, and I go into this big art auction, never been in one. And it's filled with reporters and people in suits, and there's cheese plates and wine and hors d'oeuvres.
And here you are.
But I bid on stocks, I bid on companies, I bid on business, and I know how to size up a room. So I'm in there sizing up, and I'm watching who the camera's trying to be close. I'm watching who the newspaper people are trying to be close. And you can see there's a bit of a lull, and they're waiting up. They're all going to do the big finale, like an Oscar award. And he goes up there and he gives the big preamble. He goes, no, got this Tom Thompson, and the floor bid is $400,000. And anybody at $600,000, $600,000, okay, 550, 500. It's clearly not going the right way. But, who knows? So anyway, it eventually gets down to like 450, 450. And he goes, if this thing doesn't sell for 400, it's not going to sell to anybody. He tried to get 400 for it and he couldn't. And he says, if we don't get a bid for this, if we don't get a good bid for this thing will never sell for a long time again. He going, okay, 4. Anybody? Well, somebody bid something. I bid 350. 351. Anybody else? 400. Come on, somebody go for it. And he stayed at 400 forever. I noticed that. He's going 400. Come on, somebody 400. Come on. Somebody 400. 375. 355. Is the 350 still there? 350's there. I've never done this, but I'm thinking, I'm going to get a lot of press. I already know I'm going to get mobbed by the press. Tom Budd, investment banker. I'm back in the city of my business. And he goes, well, okay, I guess it's not selling. I go, pardon?
Oh, you called it out? You said it?
It's a reserve bid. And I said, no, that's not right. You have to sell to me. Nobody knows the reserve bid. You obviously don't know auctions. You don't know this. Tries to shame me. Poor boy from Moncton nonsense, right? I'm not dressed like them. Don't come from them. Just like the investment banking business, he'll never last. He's so different. All the guys that he said, right? Anyway, I go, bullshit. I know words. You said, if somebody doesn't bid now, this is going away. I bid. You didn't put a condition on it. He goes, yeah, but you have to read. I go, that's nonsense. It's up to you. Full, true, and plain disclosure. I go, by the way, if we don't, you need to say that. You can't bait me to bid, hoping to use me and my money to get somebody else up. And somebody, look at that, Dolphins right up there right now. Cool.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm letting them have it, and you can see the floor is dividing. People are cheering me on, and so many hootie tooties aren't, because I don't know my art auction rules. I know fairness rules, and I know bullshit. And I was like, fine, I'm done. I stormed out, and I knew what I was doing. I stormed out. I didn't leave the building. I stormed out and went to a back corner where there was most room. Every person in there associated with the newspapers, radio, and TVs were all over me. And they wanted to know what I thought and explain it. And they really wanted me to lay out Heffel, it was called Heffel. And Heffel sees it going on. They know they got a problem, but I was smart enough. Don't lay them out. Talk about why I'm right. Talk in a conciliatory manner that you assume is going to be fixed. I don't know that it's done. I've left. I haven't drawn a line in the sand. Clearly, Next thing I know, somebody comes busting through the radio and say, Mr. Budd, would you meet over in the concierge? Mr. Heffel wants to talk to you. So we got in there, and I'm going to tell you, I'm impressed. Because while we were in there, and their phones are ringing off the hook, and all these professional bidders that were on through Zoom back then, TV, they were already in bidding 400 and 450 because they didn't think that would happen. They didn't realize I would bid. I caught everybody off guard. Then I started fighting, and they had all hoped they'd get off the phone and call Heffel and go, hey, we're going to do, we'll give you 4 1/4, no commission, whatever. But I got him. And he said, okay, here's how it really works, but it didn't. You got a point. We don't need the press, because I let them know, what, I've been good, but I don't get that painting. You won't be doing another auction the same way here in Calgary, okay?
And you wanted that painting. You were not going to leave without that painting, in a way?
Yeah, I was getting it. It doesn't matter. But I also knew that it's all part of the training. He's in a bind because he told his client that when there's a floor price, you'll get that or it won't sell. So he technically isn't allowed to sell her. He breaks his contract with her to me for $350. I also didn't let him off, although I knew I would. And he said, but I could call her and try. And I'm going, she's had this in her garage for X number of years. She's 87 years old. If you told her it was $250, she would have taken it. If you said there was no floor bid, we'll do our best, she'd be happy as a pig. And you know what? For $350,000. And he goes, yeah, okay. He's not arguing with me, which is what I like. He's not at least on the same level. But he undertook to talk to her to see if he could get her to $350. And if he could get the $350 with all the stuff, but I agree to at least move it up to some price so they can make it look like a higher price. And I said yes. And while that was happening, they had phone calls. I knew that they were getting bids. So I already know they can sell this painting for way more than I'm going to pay for it. I figured there's a good chance he's just going to go screw it. She won't sell it to us at that price. And we have a $450 bid. So if you match it at $450, you can have it. That's what I was expecting. The head of Heffel, and this is publicity for them, came back in. He goes, we're in a kind of a tight spot. We did get her. She's a weird situation. he's happy at, some price and da da da. If we all could just say it was 400, you don't pay any commission. And the commission would have put me through 400 anyway. Believe it or not, the commissions are huge, just 20%. So I would have been 400 and a little at 350. So doing it publicly at 400 wasn't costing me any money. I was paying the 20% on them, and we just say
fine,
it. Like, yeah, I'm good. But he came in and he told me that he liked the way I did it. He wanted to honor it. And his biggest problem was that he had bids he could give her more money. And he had to turn those bids down. I didn't think he'd follow through with it. And I said, that's fine, but they didn't come in time. They don't owe you nothing. And she's doing it fairly too. Anyway, he did the deal. I got the painting. That painting's worth about $1.6 million right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And it's not, how many years ago?
I bought 3 more. I traveled around the country to every major art thing with a new date and a fancy car. And I walked in and everybody knew and I knew nothing about what I was doing. I was buying Lauren Harris, Emily cars. I had no clue, except I knew when I was in a market where everybody was bidding everything and what auctions are like. And I knew enough to stay out of those. Drink, buy 1 or 2 things. And I'd be at others, and I could just tell by the tone and the way people are acting that, people aren't into art this year. And I'd walk out with $6 or $7 million worth. I was all in paint. If I bought more than anyone. And I have a huge collection though.
Yeah, Thomson, they're just going to go up. They're one of those things. Yeah. It's a history, right? Canadian history.
Yeah.